Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. The UK, Australia, China and the United Nations urge Israel against taking military control over the Gaza Strip in separate statements. This comes after Tel Aviv's Security Cabinet approved Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to occupy the besieged strip. Russia begins work to build the first nuclear power plant in Kazakhstan, the world's biggest uranium producer, where Moscow, Beijing and Europe are all vying for influence. US President Donald Trump will host the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan, touting the prospect of sealing a long-sought peace deal between the two rivals after decades of conflict. Iraqi authorities deny role in Iranian efforts to evade US sanctions on oil exports after Washington last month linked a local businessman to the practice. And heavy rains in northwest China have wreaked havoc, killing at least 10 people, flooding streets, submerging homes, and displacing residents. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest from the US-India tariff showdown. In a sharp escalation of tensions between the two nations, US President Donald Trump has ruled out trade talks with India.
Just to follow up on the India tariffs, do you expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
The remarks followed Trump's additional tariffs on India, taking the total to a whopping 50%. A 25% duty on Indian exports came into effect on the 7th of August. The remaining 25% is due on the 28th of August. Trump's tariffs were met with a strong response from New Delhi. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he is ready to incur the cost of putting the national interest first. India's pushback found support from unlikely quarters. Its neighbor, China, has shown solidarity. The Chinese ambassador to India said, and I quote, "Give the bully an inch and he will take a mile." The Chinese envoy quoted Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi saying using tariffs as a weapon to suppress nations violates the UN Charter. The remarks follow Brazil's outreach to all BRICS nations. Brazilian President Lula da Silva dialed Prime Minister Modi yesterday. The two leaders discussed Trump's unilateral tariffs. Lula's office has confirmed this. Now, Brazil's bid to unite the BRICS grouping against Trump's unilateral tariffs resonates with Prime Minister Modi's calls for a stronger partnership between the global South nations. Brazil, like India, faces a 50% US tariff. This is among the highest levies on any American trade partner. Similar conversations were held between Brazil and China. The Brazilian presidential advisor spoke to the Chinese foreign minister. Brazil called Trump's tariffs a direct threat to global trade norms. China expressed its support for Brazil in resisting the alleged bullying practices of arbitrary tariffs. China also expressed confidence in the BRICS grouping to emerge as a platform for strengthening cooperation among developing nations. What could further the unity of Global South is Prime Minister Modi's visit to China. Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to attend the SCO summit in Tianjin City at the end of this month. This will be his first visit to China since the Galwan Valley clash in 2020. The visit could act as a thaw in India-China bilateral relations that soured over a long-standing military standoff in eastern Ladakh. Trump is targeting India and Brazil, while its 145% tariff on Chinese goods remains suspended. However, the temporary agreement halting the duties is set to expire on the 12th of August. It was to facilitate negotiations between the two superpowers. Trump's tariffs may pose a grave threat to global trade networks, but it is bringing the global South together, a strategic alignment that Prime Minister Modi has long been advocating for. And a crisis is brewing for American universities. A sharp fall in foreign student enrollment could wipe out billions in revenue. And Indian students, the largest group, are at the heart of this crisis. Visa delays, tougher checks, and rising rejection rates are putting both students' academic dreams and US universities' budget at risk. Some experts warn that enrollment from India could crash by up to 80% this fall. The numbers are staggering. India are the largest group of international students in the US, over 330,000. Most are in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They pump nearly $9 billion into the American economy every year. They fill labs, fuel research, and feed the tech pipeline. But this year, the US visa system is choking. Interview slots at US consulates in India open sporadically, sometimes without any confirmation. Approvals are plunging, and in some states, fewer than half of the applicants are getting through. The common rejection? When student fails to demonstrate his or her non-immigrant intent. In simple words, the officer might think that the student will not return to their home country. Other reasons behind visa rejection for students include poor paperwork and insufficient financial documentation. Reports say the impact of these rejections could be brutal. A 30% drop in first-time foreign student enrollment. That's a $2.6 billion loss in tuition fees alone. This could affect more than 60,000 local jobs. Now factor in housing, transport, food. The loss grows. And while the US struggles, others are capitalizing. The UK is seeing an over 2% rise in international undergraduate applications. And there have been some unexpected entries as well. The UAE, particularly Dubai, is hosting dozens of branch campuses from international institutions. Dubai saw a 3% jump in international students between 2024 and 2025. Australia, too, lifted foreign student visa cap by 9%. And this is not just for Indian students. In 2024, the US rejected 41% of all student visa applications, the highest denial rate in a decade. Why is this happening? Now, since Donald Trump's return, visa security is back with a vengeance. In May, embassies were told to halt student visa appointments. It was resumed after 2 weeks. But it was too late by then, as the academic session is beginning soon. Then in July, applicants were asked to make their social media profiles public or risk suspension. And that's not all. US universities also appear to be bracing for the impact of proposed federal funding cuts. The reductions could affect critical areas such as research grants, financial aid programs, and support for international education. Last month, a bipartisan group of 14 US House representatives urged Secretary of State Marco Rubio to address delays in student visa appointments. The letter emphasized the importance of these students in maintaining the nation's competitiveness in science and research. The outcome, if any, is yet to be seen. For Indian students, this is more than a bureaucratic hurdle. It's a pause button on the American dream. For US universities, it's a looming financial clock. And as other countries open their doors wider, the US risks closing itself off from the very talent that helped build its global edge. And next, let's move to China, where Beijing has issued a warning to the Philippines. And the trigger? A remark made by the Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. during his visit to India. Marcos Jr. gave an interview to Firstpost. He was asked, what would he do if there's a Taiwan conflict? His answer? We can't stay out of it. Why? Geography. The Philippines is right next door, and then there's the human angle. Thousands of Filipinos live in Taiwan. Earlier, Firstpost managing editor Palki Sharma spoke exclusively to Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. The Philippines president said if a war breaks out, Manila will have to step in, at least to bring the people home. Listen in.
Another flashpoint in the neighborhood is Taiwan, and yes, most experts fear that Beijing will invade Taiwan before the end of this decade. If that were to happen while you're still in power, would you be open to allowing the U.S. use resources and bases in the Philippines to defend Taiwan, or would you rather stay out of it?
To be very practical about it, if there is a confrontation over Taiwan between China and the United States, there is no way that the Philippines can stay out of it, simply because of our physical geographic location. To understand how close Taiwan is to the Philippines, the large city of Kaohsiung in Taiwan is a 40-minute flight away from the capital of my province in northern Philippines, in Lawag. That's how close it is. And so if you think about it, if there is an all-out war, then we will be drawn into it. And I assure you with the greatest hesitation, but we will have to defend our territory and our sovereignty.
Beijing did not like this. China's foreign ministry issued a warning today, accusing Manila of, quote-unquote, playing with fire. It said Taiwan is an internal matter, no foreign interference, and certainly no excuses, not even geography, not even a large diaspora. Beijing also accused the Philippines of breaking promises, of undermining the One China policy, and of damaging bilateral ties. The Philippines did not keep quiet. It responded, said that it upholds its One China policy and adopts a policy of non-interference in China's internal affairs. Now let us come to the Taiwan issue. It is sensitive. China claims the island as its own, to be reunited by force if necessary. Now most countries, including the Philippines, do not recognize Taiwan as an independent state. But the US supplies arms to Taipei and opposes any unilateral changes to the status quo. Caught between the two powers, Manila has been leaning toward Washington. And that's not all. This year, Marcos Jr. lifted a 38-year-old travel ban for officials visiting Taiwan. The Philippines Navy even spoke about possible joint patrols in the Luzon Strait, though they later called it international cooperation. Beijing wasn't convinced. It summoned the Philippines ambassador to lodge a solemn representation. Tensions between Beijing and Manila have escalated in recent times over disputes in the South China Sea. The South China Sea is a valuable area for resource extraction. It is believed to hold significant reserves of oil, natural gas, and rare earth minerals. It is also a crucial shipping lane connecting East Asia with other regions. China asserts ownership over nearly all of the South China Sea. But other countries like Brunei, Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia all have overlapping claims. Even the US has consistently challenged China's claims in the South China Sea, and there have been numerous tense encounters, ship collisions, the use of water cannons, dangerous maneuvers by Chinese vessels. Manila has strengthened its security and defense alliance with Washington. It has ramped up ties with Taipei. further worsening relations with the Chinese mainland. And now Beijing is furious. But Manila is firm. And Taiwan? Still one of the most volatile flashpoints in Asia. The question now is, if push comes to shove in the Taiwan Strait, will the Philippines' words turn into action or into another front in an already brewing storm? And moving on to some more updates on US President Donald Trump, the Republican leader has bagged another Nobel Peace Prize nomination. This time it's Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet who has nominated him. The Cambodian Premier has announced that a letter had been sent to the Norwegian Nobel Committee, lauding the Republican leader's extraordinary statesmanship. But what fetched Trump the Cambodian leader's admiration? Now, it's his intervention in the Cambodia-Thailand conflict. Fresh clashes had erupted between the two neighbors over a long-standing disputed border region issue. The forces from both sides traded artillery fire for 5 days, killing 43 people and displacing 300,000 others. But a phone call on the 26th of July ended the bloodbath on both sides of the border. And it was the American president who made it happen. After Trump's intervention, both sides agreed to a ceasefire in Malaysia during a 4-day meeting. The US Secretary of State thanked Malaysian leadership for its contribution in brokering the ceasefire. And Trump's nomination by the Cambodian Prime Minister did not come as a surprise. Cambodia's Deputy Prime Minister last week announced the plan while thanking Trump for reducing tariffs on Cambodian imports to 19% from the previously threatened 49%. Cambodian leadership is not the only one which is in awe of Trump. Leaders from other nations have also pitched his name for a Nobel Peace Prize. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also proposed Trump's name for the award. Now, during the meeting between the two leaders in Washington last month, Netanyahu presented Trump with a letter. He said that he had sent it to a committee for the Global Peace Award. It commended Trump's efforts to end conflicts in West Asia.
I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
This marked the second high-profile nomination for Trump. The first one came from Pakistan. The country's government said it will recommend the US president for the world's top peace award for his role in resolving the recent India-Pakistan conflict, a claim that New Delhi denies, saying it was a bilateral move.
The record of what happened at that time was very clear. The ceasefire was something which was negotiated between the DGMOs of the two countries.
Several high-profile personalities, including a few US lawmakers, have thrown their weight behind Trump for his nomination. But let's understand, who can nominate a person for the Nobel Peace Prize? Each year, academics, scientists, previous Nobel Prize laureates, and members of parliaments from across the world choose candidates. The Nobel committees from prize-awarding institutions select the winners. Now, the question arises, where did it all start? How did Trump manage to get these nominations? So far, 4 US presidents have won the Nobel accolade. These include Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, Jimmy Carter, and Barack Obama. And now Trump wants it too. He has asked for the Nobel Peace Prize for resolving conflicts. The White House has also asked for the accolade, backing his claim.
The president has now ended conflicts between Thailand and Cambodia, Israel and Iran, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, India and Pakistan, Serbia and Kosovo, and Egypt and Ethiopia. This means President Trump has brokered, on average, about 1 peace deal or ceasefire per month during his 6 months in office. It's well past time that President Trump was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
While the White House is busy praising its leader for solving conflicts, it seems to have forgotten about two wars that continue to rage: the conflict in Ukraine and Gaza, which the US president promised to end on day one of office. 9 months on, these wars show no signs of abatement, as thousands of people have been killed so far. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again at the same time on Monday. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.